live. So we're flying a little funky here for a minute. Oh, why is it catching now? So we're flying a little funky here for a minute. Gotta turn. Oh, why is it catching? Oh. My hearing. Alright, yeah, the problem here is my headset's dead, so I'm just charging that quick. But I don't want to sit here like wait. I thought I had it. Alright, yeah, the problem here is my headset's dead, so I'm just charging that quick. Why is that? I had it. Alright, yeah, the problem here. I get the feeling this is going to be weird. Okay. Alright, man. Oh, I'm looking forward to this game, though. Holy cow. I get the feeling tutorial, still like in the basic beginnings. Alright, man. This is going to be long tutorials. I'm looking forward to this game, though. Holy
Where's my screen playing something?
Tutorial, still like in the basic beginnings. Alright, man. This is
The
going to be
volume's
long
off
tutorials.
on my...
Where's
Where's my screen playing something?
Oh, this game's so cool.
Alright, ready for something really nerve-wracking? For as long as you're out here in space, it's inevitable that you're going to take a few hits over the course of your career. In reality, the odds of us coming out unscathed in an engagement are exceedingly low. If you want to stay fit and combat effective, you're going to need to learn how to repair damage. Let's begin. To start, select the A and S Small Beginnings. I've had my boys set up some simulated scenarios for us to cover. Just stay cool, you'll start seeing some damage come up. For the purpose of this training exercise, I've just simulated damage in 3 of the Small Beginnings subsystems: Mount 1, the main radar controller, and the Combat Information Center. In the ship list, you'll notice a number of new icons have appeared. The orange number indicates the number of damaged components with active debuffs, which affects the performance of those damaged components. If there's a fire, it will be indicated here. Obviously, a fire in an enclosed space is a serious threat to ship's survival. It'll slowly damage the ship over time, and it'll also slow down the working speed of damage control teams.
Scary.
This red number indicates the components have been damaged to the point where they are no longer functional. This also includes components which have been completely destroyed. The red chevrons indicate the ship's command system are not operational, meaning they are no longer receiving any orders. Open the action menu to see what it looks like.
The red chevron? In the action menu?
We read the command.
The text at the center of the action menu will display "Not Receiving" when a ship can't receive orders. This is because the CIC, or Combat Information Center, has taken critical damage. You may have warships with backup command systems that allow maneuvering orders to be carried out while the CIC is disabled. This allows you to get your ship to safety and effect repairs. However, this ship isn't fitted with that. Going back to the ship's status display, we can see the damaged components and their locations. By clicking on the status display, we can open the damage control board. Do so now.
Done.
The damage control board will show all of the components installed on the ship and their current status. You can use the filter buttons at the top to suppress things that you don't want to see. Your damage control officer will automatically prioritize repairs based on how important a component is. For example, your reactor and CIC are going to be priority 1, as they're critical to the operation of the ship. If you have your own priorities, you can click on one of the items on the board to prioritize it manually. Prioritized items are highlighted in blue. Keep in mind that changing priorities frequently can cause teams to move around a lot, which wastes valuable time that could be used for repairs.
Yeah.
Damage control teams are stationed in a DC locker, and will move from there when damage is taken. It'll take time for repairs to start, as the teams need to get themselves, and their tools, to the casualty. You can see the progress of the damage control teams by the gauge filling up on their token. Hazards like fires are their first priority before they'll begin repairing actual damage, as these can deal damage over time. The important thing to remember is that once a component has taken damage below 90%, it can never be fully repaired back to 100%. Maximum repair is 10% more than the lowest integrity level the component had at the time of repairs.
Huh?
We'll let your teams work before we continue. Let's do 2 more drills. The first is a component restoration exercise. The CIC is now destroyed, with the integrity at 0%. Repair teams won't begin repairs to get it operational again, without you explicitly telling them to do so. You'll need to get it repaired. In the damage control board, find the CIC and use left shift plus left click to order your repair teams to start working on it. Once it's repaired, the ship will be able to receive orders again.
How do I order them if it's broken?
This must be done manually, because
Well, you
restoring
can
a
see the
component
people
is a
working.
time and equipment-intensive process. The equipment to do so is stored in the DC locker, and each locker only holds enough materials for 1 or 2 restorations.
Yeah, it's like you're not just bolting it together. You gotta like print parts or tools, like in real life, so you can't just like fix your ship forever. Some things you can get over and over if it's easy enough to print out, but you know, some things are obviously gonna take a little more than that. I would imagine with spaceships. Taking a while.
Although the CIC is disabled and this ship can't receive orders to move or fire, you will always be able to prioritize damage control to attempt repairs. But this means that your repair teams are extremely vulnerable. They're moving into parts of the ship that are actively taking enemy fire and could very well be killed. If all the personnel on a team are killed in action, you'll lose the team completely. If you run out of repair teams, you won't be able to repair at all. You can't replenish teams outside of a port, so keep that in mind. We'll wait for your teams to finish their work, then we'll continue. Now that the CIC is restored, the Small Beginnings is ready to receive orders again. After the teams reboot all of the computers, that is. Lastly, we'll do something a little dangerous, a catastrophic scenario.
Oh god.
Most component damage is localized, and will only affect the part of the ship where the damage was received. On the other hand, catastrophic scenarios are situations which, left unchecked, will eventually take the whole ship down. These situations include reactor overloads, magazine explosions, and fuel line fires, just to name a few. Your repair teams will automatically move to prevent catastrophic damage, so there's not much you can do except watch. Just get a feel for what it will look like. Your damage control officer will always prioritize repairs for a situation like this. The ship's survival always comes first. Notice the flashing warning icon in the ship's list. Below the icon is an estimated countdown before the situation gets out of control. If you don't know what's wrong, you can hover over the warning icon to see a tooltip.
It's more efficient while it's overloading. Nice.
Out of all the catastrophic damage you might see, reactor overloads are the most deadly. Your teams know how to work with a damaged reactor, but fires and other hazards can make it a nearly impossible task to complete.
Yeah.
Should the reactor go critical, you'll see a reactor bloom with a blast radius of about 1.5 kilometers. Standard doctrine states to move all of the friendly warships out of the danger radius of a ship with an impending reactor overload.
Oh god.
Be
Yeah,
careful
that's,
around enemy
the
wrecks
scary
as well.
blast
Your
you see.
weapons could have damaged the reactor housings, and you'll get little to no warning before they go off.
Suddenly go off.
But Commander, that's it for your damage control trials. Just keep an eye on your teams and be smart about their movements, and you'll come out just fine. Remember, the ship's survival always comes first.
I feel like I have no idea how to space war. She says just pay attention to your movements. Okay. A little new to space, lady. I can make this menu better. That's the only criticism I have. super long tutorial, but I don't think there's honestly getting around that with this kind of game. It's like extremely ambitious.
It's critical for you to understand your sensors
Like
and the things that
ridiculous.
affect them, as they act as your eyes in the battle space. After all, you can't shoot what you can't see. But now it's time to learn how they actually work. How to evade detection while spotting the enemy, and how to fool your opponent is absolutely paramount to a successful engagement. Select the ANS Small Beginning.
Waiting for your
The
orders.
first thing we'll talk about is your signature size and methods of signature control. Active sensors like radar detect enemy ships by bouncing radio waves off of them. The physical size of your ship, combined with the angle of surface and the cross-sectional area from the viewing angle, affect the size of the return energy. In other words, the same ship will appear on sensors at a longer range if its broadside is facing the enemy versus being bow on. The smallest radar cross-section for the Rains frigate, for example, is from above and below the port and starboard stern. You can see the size of your signature by hovering over the signature summary on the ship information bar. There are other contributing factors to the size of your signature, including what modules are active and how many ships are nearby. Right now, there is another ship nearby, which is boosting the size of the radar return and making it so the enemy can see us at a longer range. Let's lower our footprint. Move the small beginnings more than 250 meters away from the dusty tome, so you won't contribute to each other's signatures. Don't move towards the enemy. We want to keep our current range.
Alright, so if I want to move, I go to this screen, because then I can go parallel to the enemy, like they want.
Standing by. Reporting.
Which one?
On it.
150 meters, that shouldn't take long.
If you hover over the signature summary with your mouse, you will see the nearby ships modifier is gone, reducing our overall footprint.
Not gone yet.
Waiting for your orders, Commander. Reporting.
Oh, blanket jammer.
It's good, but we'll need to do better if we want to hide ourselves from the enemy. On the ship list, the yellow icon indicates that the ship is spotted by the enemy's sensors and is being tracked. Similarly, a red crosshair here would show that the ship is locked by the enemy's fire control radar. We have a good set of tools to reduce our radar footprint even further. Let's see what we... This switch will toggle our radar systems off, greatly reducing our footprint. This switch disables our communication suites, which can provide a modest reduction in our signature size. Go ahead and turn off both of these now, and see how it affects our signature size.
Reporting. Waiting orders.
You may be surprised to see that even with your radars off, you are still seeing tracks. This is because the ANS Dusty Tome. Hover over Signature Summary with your mouse to see how changing these... If you didn't move too close to the enemy, you'll notice the yellow icon indicating the ship is being tracked has disappeared. If you are still being tracked, it might be because your hull is at an angle that maximizes radar reflections.
The yellow indicator indicating the ship is being tracked.
Even then, a lower signature size reduces the distance at which the enemy can detect you, even if you are well inside their maximum sensor range. Disabling emissions also has the added benefit of making you undetectable by passive sensors. Passive radar sensing is typically able to detect you 125% further away from your maximum radar range, so being invisible to it has an obvious benefit. The downside, of course, is that turning off your radars means you can't detect threats as easily. Similarly, disabling comms means that the ship is no longer transmitting any tracks it sees to friendly ships in the fleet. Ships with their comms off will still be able to receive tracks from other transmitting ships, so they can act as a silent shooter.
Reminds me of a play in The Expanse where one of the ships with their comms
Go
off
ahead and
stuff
re-enable
just
both
came
the
out of
radar
nowhere
and the
shot
communications
up
on the
the
small
guy.
beginnings. Now it's time to experience what having your sensors jammed feels like.
Oh, I saw this on YouTube. Ow. Hand hurts.
We are
Confusing, right?
Looks like we lost that, but we still got this probably from
Send traffic.
this.
Waiting orders. We are being jammed.
Jamming
The enemy
does-
jammer
does
is
a complete-
saturating our radar with radio waves, making it difficult for our systems to find legitimate contacts. This noise of contacts is what we are seeing, instead of the real radar picture. Notice that we lost track of the ship in front of us, but the one on the right is still clear as day. This is because jamming only affects the area around the direction that is being jammed. Keep this in mind when you're trying to use jamming to protect your own ships.
Okay.
We do
Makes
have a tool
sense.
available that can be used in a
works
pinch, the
everywhere.
burn-through sweep. Not all radar modules have this, but allows for a short, high-powered sweep in all directions. To execute the burn-through sweep, open the action menu and select the BRN or burn-through command on the top. Then, as quickly as you can, attempt to lock the target. You can use the X key for the lock-on shortcut. Burn-through sweeps will show a unique icon for detected targets, making it easier to spot the target through the noise. The icon will linger for about 30 seconds to give you time to lock on. Locked targets are much less susceptible to being lost through jamming.
Pretty sure locked is like getting your scopes on it. Feeling so tired. I was sick. I gotta push through because I don't want to keep playing. I want to get to the point where because you can have like huge space battles, like as big as you can imagine in this game, but you just control a few at once, and then you're on a team. But you can do whole huge fleets. Crazy. ANS, so let's see, do the
Roger that. Let's lock up. We are being jammed. Enemy
That's it.
electronic
Most of the time you'll be able to maintain a fire control lock in spite of jamming. But keep in mind that jamming power stacks, so a fleet with enough jammers active at the same time will break any lock. Because burn-through sweeps use a much higher power output, they also have the added benefit of being able to spot smaller, weaker contacts at a greater range. This is useful for finding small scout ships or approaching missiles. The downside is that the higher power output runs the risk of causing damage to the amplifiers every time you use it, so be careful not to burn out your radars. Your other option for burning through jamming is simply to get closer to the enemy, brute forcing your way in. Just try not to get sunk in the process.
seems scary.
Jamming the enemy ourselves can be as easy as right-clicking their
that's
track
fast with
and selecting
railguns
our
to get
jammers
that.
with the EW weapons menu. However, these targets are far enough apart that they won't both be covered by the cone centered on only one of them. The ANS Dusty Tome is carrying a blanket radar jammer. We'll use that to jam
Talking
both
is
targets by
bothering me.
catching
I
them
don't know if
both
I can
in the
talk,
jammer's
guys.
cone of effect
I was just
by
sick.
targeting a position between both
Thought I was
contacts.
feeling a little better. I have to go to the bathroom though. I don't think I'm gonna be able to talk as much because like my throat's hurting again. And,
can target a weapon on a position in space by opening the action menu by right-clicking in open space instead of on a track, and use the sphere widget to target a position between the two contacts. Remember to use the tactical view, as it will give you precise bearings for positional targeting. When in the tactical view, you'll see each track's position projected onto the sphere of the widget. To blind both of them, aim for a point between those two projected positions. Remember that you can change the radius of the widget by holding left control and drawing the...
Reporting.
How to use the screen here.
Aye, aye. Buzzer is active.
That didn't work.
On it.
Like aimed in the wrong spot.
Reporting. Aye, aye. Buzzer is active.
Oh,
Stand
And like
That
that,
time it
they
worked.
can't see us anymore,
Weird.
just like what happened to us. But they can also use the same tactics like burn-throughs or approaching us to sift through the jamming.
pretty big.
While jamming power is additive, it is not linear. The more jamming signals that are present in an area, the more they begin to create destructive interference and cancel each other out. Think of it like diminishing returns.
That makes perfect sense.
Even if you don't successfully jam the enemy's tracking of your ships, an active jamming signal will still reduce their sensor accuracy. This is particularly devastating for point defenses, which are shooting at very small, very fast targets and therefore require great accuracy.
Yeah, strain at point defense.
Using
Yay.
standoff jamming in coordination with your missile salvos will make them devastatingly effective. Let's try it.
Point defense is all.
Fire off the missile salvo at the enemy ship ahead, and see how their
God.
defenses react with your jammer active.
Other than just blasting them first. Point defense is your last line of defense. And your only line of defense. I'm gonna take an allergy medicine too, but. Wonder. I saw it was a high pollen day. I wonder if I'm just feeling sick because like pollen. I'm just getting over it. Let's see, and I'll feel better soon. Please. My allergies have been like a lot better lately. I don't know what it is, but that stays
Receiving.
going. I like drink a lot more water.
We're ready whenever you are.
Good soda.
Reporting.
What am I supposed to do? Cover your missile attack with jamming. Oh yeah, okay. Now we're getting interesting.
Jammer.
Watch how erratically the enemy defenses are firing. Point defense requires pinpoint precision, which your jamming is preventing by flooding their sensors with fire. When using jamming to cover a missile attack, you'll still need to watch out for airburst point defenses. Most importantly, the blanket jammer has a 90-second firing time. However, there are times where you absolutely have to be able to use the system, or you'll lose the ship. In that case, you might not care whether the module destroys itself. This is what Battle Short is for. Select the ANS Dusty. This is the toggle for the Battle Short mode. When this is on, all equipment safeties are disabled, and the equipment will continue to run until it destroys itself. Reserve it for emergency use, or you'll hear an endless litany of profanity from the damage control officer. When Battle Short is enabled, active components with active duration timers will periodically be damaged. However, they will only begin taking damage when they exceed their normal firing time. One last thing to note is that most electronic warfare modules are single-cycle systems. That means they won't repeatedly fire on the same target after their cooldown period, and you'll need to designate a new target every time the system comes off cooldown. Jamming is an extremely powerful tactic when used at the right time. Use it to cover your retreat, confuse enemy fire, cover your missiles, and anything else you can think of. With that out of the way, that should do it for sensors and EWAR. I hope I made it easy to follow, because the guidebooks on these are nightmarish. I'll see you back at the academy.
Nightmarish, I bet.
Space is vast, Commander. There's usually no cover, and if you're lucky, you can see a threat coming kilometers away. Knowing how to move your ship is one thing, but knowing the right maneuver will make sure you come out on top.
Wow, so like you see it from a long ways away with fighting. It reminds me of medieval times, and when you would see the army super far away.
You can definitely make it out of a fight in one piece without using advanced maneuvers, but you'll see quite a good drop in repairs if you employ them correctly. Before we get started, let's order the Dusty Tome to enter formation with the small beginnings, so we can see how these commands affect other ships in the formation when issued to the guide ship.
Receiving.
Oh, the formation, I know.
Receiving.
Oh. Here's some streaming. Come entertain me though, because playing my space game. But the tutorials are gonna be really boring. Oh my god, there's probably like 2 or 3 hours left of them. And this is like school. Like, oh man. Or like, you know what I mean? Like you gotta go learn every little thing, how to do it. Like running a machine kind of. What is the formation button? That move.
Aye, aye.
Now let's try our first new command. Select the ANS Dusty Tome and open the action
Now
menu.
that.
All of the commands we'll learn about in this lesson can be found under the Move submenu.
I wanna.
The ALD, or Assume Lead command, will cause the formation that this ship is in to restructure itself with the selected ship as the new guide ship. Issue this order now.
Lead on.
It's not uncommon for the guide of the formation to come under fire first, as it's usually the most important ship, making it a prime target. Should it become disabled, it's sometimes you want them to hold the line, but there's other times that you need to sacrifice that disabled ship to save the others.
I've been streaming. I mean, I don't want to go only a half an hour.
When you have a large formation, the Assume Lead command will save you precious time reorganizing the formation around a new ship that can lead the survivors to safety. It's a lifesaver, literally. Since the Dusty Tome is the guide now, let's keep it selected and start covering the rest of the orders. Open the action menu in the Move submenu.
You said something about the lead is the lifesaver, but I or being able to change lead. Oh, does it say up here?
We're reading you.
Let's see.
Helm, address the formation. Reporting.
It does change.
We're reading you. Standing by. Send traffic.
We'll first cover the ORB, or Orbit command. This command is useful for keeping your ships moving continuously around a target without having to make hard direction changes constantly. Select it now, but don't issue the order yet.
Okay.
This is a two-stage command, just like the formations. The first task is to select the orbit anchor, or the position the ships will travel around. Let's set our anchor near the enemy target. Once you have selected the orbit anchor, we'll determine the radius and the angle of the orbit. Notice that when you change the angle of the sphere widget, a dotted line now appears. The dotted line denotes the actual path that the ships will follow. The arrow near your cursor denotes the direction that they will fall along the path. This is determined by the side of the sphere your cursor is on relative to your ship. Go ahead and issue the order now. Make sure there are no obstacles in the path. The circle will turn red if the ship might hit something in its orbit.
Aye, aye.
If you want, you can open fire on the target you're orbiting to see how your guns will behave. The real utility of the orbit command is that it keeps your ships moving while keeping a side facing the target on the inside, allowing most weapons a good angle at the target. If you just drive a course, you'll eventually have to turn your ships around, or you'll lose the target behind an obstacle, or just slowly start to mask certain weapons as the angle increases. This will cost you valuable time while the turrets swing around. Orbits help prevent this. The downside, of course, is that your ships will be exposing the same armor to the enemy constantly, allowing them to whittle it down before they lay in heavy munitions. You'll also be presenting a good angle for radar returns, meaning you might be an easier target. You can orbit this target as long as you like, and play with the weapons. When you're ready, issue a drive course order to get our ships heading off into open space, so we can try the remaining commands.
Helm, take us in.
Let's do orbit right here.
Aye, aye. Proceeding.
But yeah, I guess you want to orbit the...
We're reading you. You know the drill. Send traffic. Ready.
How do I zoom out? This is like close-up mode. And this is the mode you're usually in.
Standing by. On it.
Order to the formation. What are you talking about? Oh boy, I have no idea what she's saying to do.
We're reading you. Aye, aye. Full burn.
Orders.
It'll take a while. So wild though. I don't know what they mean formation. I'm pretty much in open space now. It's just over there. I was right next to it. What's not open space about this?
Acknowledged.
Standing by.
Oh, drive course.
Course laid in. Course laid in.
I'm so damn confused. Sure what you said, drive course to open space.
Repositioning.
Reporting. Lead on.
Alright, so when you set the formation, that's so like they stay in the same spot relative to each other.
Orders.
Oh, it's working. Still didn't figure out. Let's just say to withdraw from the battle. Earth. Supposed to be here. I don't understand. Just skipping it because I. Sorry about the noise of my stream. No.
Alright, Commander. Now it's time to turn the tables. We've been on the giving end for all of these lessons so far, but if you don't know how to defend your fleet, you might as well not be in command. Defending against anti-ship missiles is a complex topic, and I can't possibly cover everything in the course of this lesson. But at the very least, I'll get you started. I've placed 3 markers for the course we'll travel along for this to work best. Go ahead and set waypoint course from Atlas, where we are now, to Boxer and Comet. If you reach the end at any point, just plot a new path in the reverse order. I've also disabled your offensive weapons, so you don't accidentally, or on purpose, destroy the shooter or spotter ships I'll be controlling, as well as a few other systems that we'll unlock as we go over them.
Shooting live ammo at my crew, huh?
And don't worry, everything I'm going to fire at you are inert training missiles, with no war. Let's begin.
Well, good. I still feel like inert training missiles are going to puncture, right? And like, is it really that unlikely to hurt somebody? I think it's pretty likely. Like, you know, even if it's like a 1% chance, I think that's a little high. My opinion. Could be sending warheads out, but you know. Great, I didn't learn
Standing
that.
by.
I didn't learn how to set a course. Ah. It's not the right one.
Understood. We're en route. We're underway, Commander. Standing by.
Great, I don't know how to set a course.
Awaiting orders, Commander.
I'm getting so confused. I think these are waypoints.
What can we do for you, Commander? Receiving.
Oh, here we go.
We're underway, Commander.
Oh, it should have worked.
What can we do for you, Commander?
Can I cancel the movie?
Standing by.
That. Maybe I...
Understood?
It might seem ridiculous
I have
to
to do it that
say,
way.
but a lot of people don't consider that the best way to defend against missiles is to simply not be where the enemy has fired them at. The ship I'll be firing from is about 17 kilometers away. With the speeds these missiles travel at, it'll take them about 75 seconds to reach their acquisition range. When a missile is fired at a track, the target's last known position and velocity are programmed into the missile immediately before launch, so it can figure out how to lead the target. The good news is that 75 seconds is a lot of time for us to not be where the missile thinks we're going to be when it starts its search. When we talk about ASMD, we group defensive measures into two categories: soft kill and hard kill. We'll talk about soft kill first, as it pairs very well with the evasive maneuvers we'll do for this first. The rightmost set of buttons on the ship information bar controls your point defense doctrine. The decoy button controls when the point defense controller will automatically fire decoys. If you set it to manual, you will need to fire the decoys yourself via the action menu. It's best to leave this one on one of the other three options. The least option will use the decoy with the lowest capability necessary to defeat the threat. Best will always use the highest capability. Auto will fire all necessary decoys. The type of decoy necessary for the threat can only be determined if we have sufficient intelligence on the missile, which can be developed rapidly by the ES-32 Scryer module, which this ship is carrying. If we don't have this information, one of every type of our onboard decoys will be fired. The decoys we have available on the ship are the EA-12 Chaff Decoy and the EA-99 Conure Active Decoy. Chaff decoys are an expanding cloud of reflective metal strips, which create a much larger radar return than the ship that launched them. This presents a more appealing target to the missile, and will hopefully draw it off, a tactic called seduction. Active decoys radiate their own energy and can mimic the signature of the launching ship, making them useful against more advanced missiles,
Right.
which are also looking for the ship's radar emissions.
The AI missiles, you use them with that. So, they're making decisions separate from the ship. Alright, I'm going to my headset. Just explain. Sound better?
Now, we're going to use evasive maneuvers in conjunction with these decoys to totally avoid the first salvo. In fact, I'm so confident you'll be able to do it that I've totally disabled all our other point defenses.
Wow.
I'm going to launch the first salvo now. When you detect the missiles, change course at least 90 degrees, but preferably more like 120 degrees, away from your current direction of travel. Don't do it preemptively, or the missiles will adjust their lead based on your new velocity vector. Wait until you detect them on radar. Alright, the first salvo is on its way. After you issue the order to change course, raise the throttle to flank speed to get that extra emergency thruster power. As your course change begins to take effect, dump a chaff decoy, or 3, with Shift Z to give the missile something to focus on while we make our escape.
Moving out, Commander.
Manually firing decoys will fire one of each available passive decoy type.
Countermeasures.
Active decoys will not be fired as they require a target to know how to fly away from the ship. If you want to fire an active decoy, right-click on one of the missile tracks and use the DCY button at the top of the action menu. The button will be highlighted in yellow to show you it will be for a specific threat rather than a generic decoy order.
We're ready when you are,
Countermeasures
Commander.
out.
Aye, aye, Commander. Warning. Incoming missile. We'll get it done, Commander. Countermeasures. Understood. Countermeasures deployed.
Bye.
Aye, aye, Commander. Firing missile.
Oh, they really missed me. There were some fucking harmless torpedoes, man. Not anywhere near the target. Those have got to only be good at like close range. I think the AI targeting ones would be more commonly useful. We'll see how it all works out. It's like Imagine that just comes after. And then with the ship tracking probably helping. But obviously the missile would have to think on its own, I think, but the tracking might help, right? Because like, I don't think it's going to be like a perfect signal. That's it, I did it. Come on, man.
Receiving. Understood. We're en route. We're underway, Commander. What can we do for you, Commander? Receiving. Countermeasures.
What the hell is wrong with the tutorial? Huh?
Understood. Countermeasures. Understood. Launching missile.
God, I need to learn this stuff. What the hell is wrong here?
Standing by.
Come on. I gotta... I need to learn this stuff. My headset started to break.
Alright, Commander. Now it's time to turn the tables. We've been on the giving end for all of these lessons so far. Defending against anti-ship missiles is a complex topic. I've placed 3 markers for the course. I've also disabled... And don't worry, let's begin.
What are our orders, Commander? Yes, Commander. We are en route.
It might seem ridiculous to say, but a lot of people don't consider the ship I'll be firing from is about 17 kilometers away. With the speeds these missiles travel at, it'll take them about 75 seconds to reach their acquisition range.
17 kilometers? How do I see that on here? Because... Oh, I see. Because that's 10.
When a missile is fired at a track, the target's last known position and velocity are programmed into the missile immediately before launch, so it can figure out how to lead the target. The good news is that 75 seconds is a lot of time for us to not be where the missile thinks we're going to be when it starts its search. When we talk about ASMD, we group defensive measures into 2 categories, soft kill and hard kill. We'll talk about soft kill first, as it pairs very well with the evasive maneuvers we'll do for this. The rightmost set of buttons on the ship information bar controls your point defense doctrine. The decoy button controls when the point defense controller will automatically fire decoys. If you set it to manual, it's best. The type of decoy necessary for the threat can only be determined if we have sufficient intelligence on the missile, which can be developed rapidly by the ES-32 scribe. The decoys we have available on the ship are the EA-12 chaff decoy. Chaff decoys are an expanding cloud of reflective metal strips, which create a much larger radar return than the ship that launched them. This presents a more active decoys radiate their own energy and can mimic the signature of the launching ship, making them useful. Now, we're going to use evasive maneuvers in conjunction with these decoys to totally avoid the first salvo. In fact, I'm so confident you'll be able to do it that I've totally disabled all our other point defenses. I'm going to launch the first salvo now. When you detect the missiles, change course at least 90 degrees, but preferably more like 120 degrees, away from your current direction of travel.
Maybe it's because I went
Don't
vertical.
do it preemptively, or the missiles will adjust their lead based on your new velocity vector. Wait until you detect them on radar. Alright, the first salvo is on its way. After you issue the order to change course, raise the throttle to flank speed to get that extra emergency thruster power. As your course change begins to take effect, dump a chaff decoy, or 3, with Shift Z to give the missile something to focus on while we make our escape. Manually firing decoys will fire one of each available passive decoy type. Active decoys will not be fired as they require a target to know how to fly away from the ship. If you want to fire an active decoy, right-click on one of the missile tracks and use the DCY button at the top of the action menu. The button will be highlighted in yellow to show you it will be for a specific threat rather than a generic decoy order.
Missiles away. I'd hate to be on the other side of those.
It barely missed me in the end there.
Nicely done, Commander.
Not good.
Go ahead and get us back on course for either Point Atlas or Comet, and we'll continue. Don't forget to come back down from flank speed.
We are en route.
Evasive maneuvers can do a lot for you when it comes to avoiding missiles fired at long range. If you do them right, you won't even need to fire in defense. But unfortunately, some more advanced missiles could follow your course changes, like the next salvo I've just launched.
What are our orders, Commander?
While we wait, this is a great time to talk about hard kill. Many missile threats simply can't be avoided by evasive maneuvers. The missiles that are on their way now have a command mid-course guidance configuration, so they will follow any course changes we make. For this, we'll need to rely on a combination of soft and hard kill techniques. You can change course if you want, and watch them follow us. Deploying chaff is always a good idea. It's cheap and plentiful, and it may save your life. But it usually won't draw every missile away, so we'll need to deal with the remaining missiles somehow. The simplest of the hard kill methods is point defense turrets. This ship is equipped with 3 Mark 20 Defender 20mm autocannons and 2 Mark 90 Aurora laser turrets. All of these weapons have their own integrated fire control systems, so once they have been cued to an area by the ship's radar, they can lock their own targets and develop their own firing solution. If you want to take a more hands-on approach, you can manually prioritize targets with the Z key or by using the PD button on the action menu. Generally, this isn't necessary, as the PD controller automatically prioritizes threats by size, distance, speed, and whether they're actually coming towards the ship or not. The ship will always defend itself before defending others.
I think my PC's got them all. Oh, yep.
Great job! Now get us...
Quiet. Command's on the line. We hear you, Command. Turning up the engines now.
Alright, we have one more type. These are missiles specifically designed to intercept and destroy incoming missiles. They are the most flexible form of PD, but also the most limited in quantity. This ship is carrying 40 SGM-112 Ripostes, a command-guided interceptor missile. Let's go through the options available by clicking the PD missile button and expanding the menu. The first option is the firing mode. By default, this is set to Doctrine, meaning that all missiles will be fired at all threats that it was designed for. By flipping it over to All, we can disregard those settings and the missile will be used against all threats. On the other hand, Manual will only fire at targets you have prioritized. Next is Firing Policy, which governs the number of salvos we'll fire at each threat. The next salvo will only be fired after the previous one misses. Following that is Salvo Size, which determines the number of missiles in each of the salvos from above. Setting this to Doctrine will refer to the missile type's default setting, usually 1 missile. And finally, last salvo will fire another salvo at the threat at the last possible moment, even if the previous salvos have not arrived. I know that was a lot, but managing these settings will help you economize your defensive missiles. They always go faster than you think they will. Interceptor missiles excel at defeating threats at a much longer range than most other point defenses are capable of. That's extremely important when it comes to the most dangerous types of missiles we'll talk about next: hybrids. Hybrid missiles are advanced, multi-stage missiles which can wreak havoc on a fleet if not countered during their cruise stage. Once they initiate their terminal sprint, a laser is about the only thing that can stop them. Imagine trying to shoot down a corkscrewing telephone pole, traveling at nearly 1 kilometer per second. And that's what facing a hybrid missile is like. Some of these missiles also carry penetration aids, such as self-screening radar jammers and decoy launchers.
Wow.
Fortunately, you don't actually have to imagine, because I've got 4 of them on the way. If you want to make any changes to your PD missile doctrine, better do it now.
What are our orders, Commander? Aye, aye, Commander.
What do I gotta do?
You heard the orders. hate to be on the other side of those. Missiles.
Alright, those are my interceptors. They missed. I only have 40. Wow.
We hear you, Command.
All right, victory.
Phew, wasn't that crazy? You can usually expect the enemy to reserve these kinds of missiles for killing capital ships, due to their destructive power, cost, and limited number. The best way to defend against them is with proper positioning of screening escorts, which can enable early detection so you can get your defensive missiles out there and engage them during their vulnerable crew stage. Well, Commander, that about covers it for the absolute basics of ASMD.
So that's how they
Good
kill your
luck out
capital
there.
ship. It's little-
Hazel out.
Oh, there's only 2 left, huh? Almost ready. I am so excited to actually be able to play this game. This game, like, actually, so interesting.
Out here in the cold void, missiles are like diamonds. They're valuable and scarce, and you won't be able to refill your cells under most circumstances. Unless you want to wind up with empty launchers while your enemy is fully stocked, you'll need to learn how and when to use them. You can always come back here to practice with missiles, but I can also give you a rundown of what you can throw down range. You want to take the reins in practice, or would you like me to guide you through it? I've got plenty of time.
And what are you gonna explain? Like,
Sounds good. Let's get you familiar. The enemy ships in this scenario won't shoot back at your ships, but they are all equipped with different types of point defense. There are 5 enemy ships in the battle space, but we can only see 3 of them right now. I've disabled your drives for this, as you'll get the most training out of your current position. No cheating and all that. We'll start by firing 2 command-guided missiles, the Hurricanes, from the ANS Small Beginnings at the group of 2 ships directly ahead of us. This is the same as during the weapons trial, except now we're going to test the target's defensive capability. As a side note, you can track all missiles with your camera by selecting them, or just hover over them with your mouse and hitting the F key.
Standing
Don't
by.
worry if the missiles get shot down on their way in. Targets have their point defenses on the ventral side of the ships, and since we're below the targets, we're at a disadvantage. We could ascend and take the elevated position on the targets, but trust me when I say that they can roll their ships to cover the angle much faster than we can get into a more advantageous position. You may recall from the weapons trial that I mentioned you can plot complex paths for certain missiles to follow. We're going to work up some clever missile strikes. The easiest way to lay in missile paths is in the tactical view. Toggle it with the spacebar and keep it up. We'll need the extra space. In the weapons trial, we were always using track mode, and in one case visual mode, to target our weapons. Some weapons, and especially missiles, also have a position mode that lets us directly choose points in space to shoot at. Because the Hurricane missiles rely on a constant sensor track from their launching ship, they can't be shot at positions. So let's switch over to the Dusty Tome, which is
Standing by.
to target the weapons in position mode. Open the action menu by right-clicking in open space. Don't right-click on a track, as this will put the weapons in track mode. Open the weapons list by clicking the Weps or Weapons button on the right side of the action menu. From the list, select the SGM-206 Thunderhead, but don't confirm a launch order just yet. You'll recognize the sphere widget from when we used it briefly in some of the previous trials, but we're going to get a lot of mileage out of it now. There are a few things to notice. The first is the red cone at the cursor location. This represents the missile's seeker field of view. When the missile reaches its last waypoint, its seeker will activate, and any target in that cone will be locked on by the missile. It's important to remember that the missile's seeker and warhead are inactive until it reaches the last waypoint. Because of this, it's important to leave space between where you place the last waypoint and the intended target. A good buffer will allow the missile to correct its course and establish a good path to intercept the target. The next thing you'll notice is the dotted lines and the circles projected onto the surface of the sphere. These are present because we're currently holding several enemy tracks on our sensors. It's very easy to get fooled by perspective in 3D space. These tracks are projected onto the sphere, so you have a good point of reference for the direction the track's relative to your cursor. The most effective way to aim at your target correctly is to look at its projection on the sphere, not the target itself. Before we get to the complicated stuff, just try firing a single missile at the group of 2 ships by positioning the cursor inside one of their projected circles and clicking the left mouse button.
I gotta go up here. There we go.
Preparing to launch.
Unless you're extremely lucky, this missile will likely be shot down on its way in. Point defenses are no joke. Now let's use cruise missiles to their full advantage by laying a path that attacks these ships from the top, where they have no point defense coverage. Start up another missile order, and I'll walk you through creating a path and taking multiple shots from the same order.
Receiving. Waiting for your orders, Commander.
Ah, what am I supposed to do? I'm getting so lost.
Waiting orders. Waiting for your orders, Commander. Preparing missile launch.
A cruise missile.
Standing by.
We're going to arrange a top-down attack using Thunderhead missiles. Remember to be in the tactical view to get the most information and see the projected lines. In order to help you out for this one, I'll place markers for the waypoints we'll use. Place waypoints just how you would with ships. Position the cursor in the vicinity of waypoint 1, and hold the left shift key while clicking the left mouse button to add the waypoint. Don't worry about being exact, anywhere in the vicinity will work.
Receiving.
Alright, I gotta start up.
Receiving. Ready.
Now do the same for waypoint 2. If you find it helpful, you can lay in your own path to reach the elevation we need to land a good hit. Now comes the tricky part. we want to fire 4 missiles down on top of these ships. In order to do so, position the target circle so it's facing the targets. Then, hold left control to draw the radius out until it's about halfway between your last waypoint and the target. Remember to give some relief space between the selected position and the target, so the seeker has time to activate. Take your time, and remember to reference your cursor against the projected circles, not the tracks themselves. When you're ready to start placing shots, hold the left Alt key and click the left mouse button. 1 missile will be fired per click when the order is finally issued. I recommend spreading the shots out in a cone a few degrees across, so the salvo has better odds of finding the target. An added benefit of this is that when missiles acquire a target, they'll curve back in on a trajectory that naturally confuses any point defenses they may encounter. To issue the order, either click the left mouse button with the left Alt key released, or press the Enter key if you have queued up exactly the number of missiles you want. We'll wait till you score a hit on one of these 2 ships before proceeding.
Whoa. Why is the cone all funky? There we go. Hard to get down there.
Guidance online.
Oh, I gotta shoot. Ah. Let's shoot 4.
Don't worry if you don't get any hits, just try again.
Not like these things are expensive. They're extremely expensive. Alright.
We're ready whenever you are.
What the hell's going on here? Why is there so off? Oh, it's going through the waypoint. I think I get it. Weird. I get it. Man, this is weird and hard and confusing. I'm not sure. There we go.
Launch confirmed.
Now we're talking.
The first hit might be the hardest because I got 3.
Attacking ships from top and bottom limits the number of mounts that can defend against the attack. It also has the added benefit of increasing the surface area of the vital internal components which are exposed to your fire, meaning more damage is more likely to be done once the missile connects. I'll be honest, Commander, I made you do this one the hard way so you could get some practice with the sphere widget on a target you could see. You can also accomplish the same thing using target reference points, which you can find under the signal menu as the TRP button. We won't do it now, but feel free to practice on your own later. It'll allow you to create a single waypoint for some missiles to travel via when firing on a track, but keep in mind that not all missiles support this.
Alright, so you could set a waypoint.
Let's move on to another type of missile. The A&S Fatal Spell is carrying a few SGM-233 Gale semi-active guided missiles. Semi-active missiles have a passive seeker and require an illuminator to home in on a target. Think of this like a radar flashlight. The illuminating signal can be provided by any ship, not just the ship that launched the missile, but that signal must be painted on a target for a missile to home in on it. Without it, the missile is just an expensive dud. The benefit of semi-active missiles is that they are significantly harder to jam or decoy, because a ship can output much more energy than a missile can. Illuminators can be found in the action menu under the EW weapon list on the illuminated target.
Waiting orders.
Ready.
Standing by. Roger that.
Your illuminator has a 90-second firing time before it turns off so the amplifiers can cool down. You can see its cone of effect in the tactical view. Before it cools down, fire 4 Gale missiles at
Waiting orders. Missile is away.
Remember, if the illumination signal turns off before the missiles arrive, they will lose tracking and probably miss their target. They'll continue in their current direction, so stationary targets may be struck, but at this point, it's just luck. Illuminators also require a direct line of sight to their target. Now let's get some more practice with using waypoint paths. There are 2 more enemy ships hiding in the radar shadows of the nearby asteroids, meaning we can't see them with our own ships. Another benefit of cruise missiles and their ability to follow past is that you can shoot at targets you suspect to be in the area but do not hold a track on. This is good for hitting ships that have retreated. Use the thunderheads on any of the ships to hit the target hiding near the point I've indicated. Remember to use the tactical view to give yourself the best perspective, and lay in your path so the missiles will turn on their seekers before reaching the target. They'll need time and space to identify a target. While hiding behind asteroids can help you remain hidden from the enemy, it also gives the attacker an advantage. By hugging the asteroid closely with your missile's flight paths, you can give the point defenses less time to react before they detect the threats. That means less distance the missiles have to travel through defensive fire.
Receiving.
Orders. Solution locked in.
Ah. Messed that up. Ah, point at the thing.
Turn to launch.
Far out.
I don't know if that's gonna work.
Ruby.
Oh my. Missile. I don't know if I set it up where it's gonna work. Oh shoot, those ships are taking it out.
Neato.
Ah, alright, good. Supposed to go here and then change directions, but I don't know if I did it.
Rad.
It's really, really weird to do. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, these. There it is.
Out of sight.
I've actually hit the ship to.
Waiting for your orders, Commander.
Okay, I see. All guns.
Solution locked in.
Fuck. Here we go, Teresa. Teresa. Look. Got the big boys going now.
Seems like
Even
Atari.
Like Atari. This is like a wildly realistic space combat simulator. Well, tacticianing, not necessarily flying the ship. Maybe other games would be flying the ship, but I doubt they're as realistic
Missile
as this
reserves are
one.
low.
Look at all of them, Teresa. These are all cruise missiles. Oh, let's take a look down here. Supposed to hit that ship. So far, not doing so good.
Nifty.
Hey, I might get a hit. Ooh.
Good strike! There's one more ship hiding up near Point Boxer, above the large asteroid. For this one, I'll hide the marker after a few seconds, so get a good feel for where it is. This will be your hardest shot yet, so make me proud.
Oh, might run out of.
We're reading you.
It's like above.
Solution locked in.
Shoot. Stop again.
Launch tube clear.
Not that. That hopefully.
Solution locked in.
We'll see how that works. How close that is.
Turn to launch. Guidance online.
Standing by. Standing by. Missile is away. Receiving. Missile away. Clear.
Wrong thing.
Missile away. Tube clear.
It's over there.
missile launch.
There we go. That's how you do it. Shotgun. Right in the spot.
Excellent work, Commander.
Oh, it hit it. Okay, gotcha.
That does it for your advanced missile ops. You can come back whenever you feel you need practice. Obviously, I can go through all of this again, but I think you have it under control. I do recommend practicing the missile paths. When
Yeah,
you
that
land
was
these in
so
accurately and
hard.
quickly in the midst of battle, you'll be a serious threat in the battle space. I'll see you back at the academy.
That was hard to like do it right. Well, that's it for me for the night because well, just one more tutorial and then I'll be able to play the actual game. Oh no. That was it? Oh. Oh no. Alright. That's the last one, and then no tutorial. Alright, good night, guys. Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by if you did. Otherwise, you know, who cares? Kind of boring right now. Tutorial mode. Hopefully this game will get real interesting. I think it'll get super interesting. It'll be awesome. Alright. Bye, guys. Peace.